It's Friday. This is BBC London. I'm Asad Ahmed. On tonight's programme, it's the nation's high street, and today details of how Oxford Street will be pedestrianised were made public to mixed reaction.
The objectives that we're trying to achieve here are about the economic regeneration and what we can do to really drive Oxford Street's success.
We have been utterly and totally ignored. The Mayor claims that we're happy with the arrangements. We are certainly not.
Well, thousands of buses and taxis will have to be rerouted as a result. Also on the programme, the government is expected to approve China's plans for a new mega embassy in central London. That's despite concerns over its location near Tower Bridge.
Even if people realised it was fake, no one, I think, wanted to chance it just in case.
Yeah, the fake speed camera that's been removed by a council, but locals in South London say it made a huge difference in the days that it was up.
And with just over a month to go until Christmas, I'm down here at Trafalgar Square, where a large Christmas tree has started to make its way here, kindly donated by the city and people of Oslo.
Very good evening. Oxford Street was once the jewel in the crown for high street shopping. Few places anywhere in the world could compete. But online shopping and stiff competition has made things tougher, which is why the Mayor of London wants to pedestrianise it. Well, today, City Hall laid out its plan for where the thousands of buses and taxis which use Oxford Street every single day will go. It is controversial, but it's also a chance for Londoners to have their say. Barry Caffrey is in Oxford Street for us this evening to tell us more. Barry.
Hi Assad, good evening. Yes, this public consultation is separate to a previous one that ended in June, where the public was asked on their views on whether Oxford Street should be pedestrianised at all. And 63% of those people said that yes, it should. This particular public consultation focuses on transport and the highways. So, for example, it'll detail where the London buses will go if they're not able to use Oxford Street. What will happen to cyclists and mini cabs and black cab drivers? Where will they be able to go? And how will people be able to navigate the north-south crossing if this section of Oxford Street West is pedestrianised? Now, according to the GLA, 700 new jobs would be created if this goes ahead, as well as £80 million in additional revenue being generated. Now, of course, recently a mayoral development committee was set up. That means basically that they tried to speed up the pedestrianisation of Oxford Street. It means that it will make the planning decisions rather than the local council. Such powers have only been used previously with larger industrial areas such as Old Oak Common and the Olympic Park. This particular public consultation runs from today until Friday, the 16th of January. With more details, here's my colleague Victoria Hollins.
London's most famous shopping street is getting the biggest overhaul in its history. Pedestrianisation will see all vehicles, including buses, taxis and bikes, gone. Today, Transport for London set out where they'll go and why they think the changes are necessary.
The objectives that we're trying to achieve here are about the economic regeneration and what we can do to really drive Oxford Street's success. And there's some very detailed modelling that we've undertaken which just shows how we expect journey times to change in the area, what it means in terms of congestion, and what it means in terms of things like air quality, noise. All of that is set out in the consultation. So I would urge everybody to take a look.
All traffic except emergency services will be removed from Oxford Street between Orchard Street and Great Portland Street. Buses would be rerouted along Wigmore Street and Henrietta Place, including 5 daytime bus routes and more nighttime ones. Wigmore Street would get more bus stops and cab ranks, and there will still be north-south crossing routes across Oxford Street. But one residents' group says the traffic changes will have a huge impact.
What we're effectively doing is transporting Europe's biggest bus station, which is what Oxford Street is, and taking it into these lovely streets which surround us. And that is going to have a big impact on noise, pedestrian safety and pollution as well.
This is the point where all traffic will leave Oxford Street and divert along Orchard Street and come along into Wigmore Street itself. But there will be fewer buses. At the moment on Oxford Street there's around 35 in each direction each hour. When they are rerouted along here, it'll be about 21 buses in each direction each hour. Can Wigmore Street, though, cope with all those extra buses?
Wigmore Street, we believe, can. As I say, we've done very, very detailed traffic modelling, and that looks at things like the journey times, the congestion impacts, and across the bus services you see less than a minute change in terms of the journey times.
Traffic-free days on Oxford Street have been trialled, most recently in September. There's a big increase in footfall and a boost to businesses. But one local resident told me that's only part of the story.
It's gridlocked here, completely gridlocked, and you basically don't use the buses because you can't get anywhere.
The Mayor would say that these proposals, these changes will make Oxford Street a nicer place to be and attract more people.
Do we need to attract more people to the area? I mean, they have to keep shutting the tube stations now as it is.
The project to transform the street will begin in the second half of next year. The consultation on the traffic proposals will last until January the 16th. Victoria Hollins, BBC London.
The government is expected to approve China's plans for a new mega embassy near the Tower of London. A final decision hasn't yet been formally made, but it's understood that British intelligence agencies have given ministers advice that clears the path for the controversial project. Concerns have been expressed about the location and potential access to very important fibre optic cables. Here's Damien Grammaticus and a warning that there is some flash photography in the piece.
The Tower of London, and right across the road, what once housed the Royal Mint, producing the nation's money, a location that speaks of power and wealth. This is what China wants to turn into the biggest embassy in Europe.
And highlighted here what worries so many, because this is a BT telephone exchange. And what concerns people is that China might be able to tap fibre optic cables that serve the banks of the City of London right there. But intelligence agencies are understood to have said the risk is manageable, so this controversial project could soon get the go-ahead.
We've got the best intelligence services in the world. I am absolutely content that any country setting up a building in the UK will be wrapped in the tightest possible measures to ensure there is no threat to the UK in any way, shape or form.
Sir Keir Starmer has, since he became Prime Minister, sought to engage with China. And in his very first meeting with Xi Jinping, he did raise sensitive issues head-on. Top of China's demands has been approval for its new London embassy. The UK wants economic benefits, which is why the Chancellor was in Beijing earlier this year. The Conservatives, who didn't grapple with China this way, claim compromises risk being made.
The Labour government, almost as soon as they took office, rushed to try and get this application signed off, to try and curry favour with the Chinese Communist Party. That is just the wrong way of conducting international relations with this country.
Just 2 weeks ago, the attempted prosecution of Christopher Cash and Christopher Berry, who'd been accused of spying for China, collapsed. Both men maintained their innocence throughout. And this week, MI5 warned MPs and peers China was seeking ways to infiltrate and get intelligence from Parliament. So how big are the risks?
Well, there certainly are threats, and they're really to do with cybersecurity, they're to do with new technologies, new energy, they're to do with electric vehicles. But I think we should focus on the threats that are real rather than the embassy, which I think can be managed.
At its heart, this is a decision about how to manage a relationship with a country that boasts the world's second largest economy, but which also seeks to spy on and influence events in the UK. Damien Grammaticus, BBC News, Westminster.
Well, look now at something you might want to watch this Sunday morning. Could be of interest.
Hi, we have exclusive new data on the number of London GPs planning on retiring. We'll be asking what impact it'll have on your ability to get an appointment. So do join me, Samantha Simmons, this Sunday at 10 a.m. on BBC One. See you then.
Local people in southeast London, where a fake speed camera was put up, say it did more to reduce speeding than any measure taken by the council. But the council removed it within days, saying residents run the risk of legal action. But in the 48 hours it was on Sandhurst Road in Catford, it appears to have had the desired effect. With the story, here's Harry Lowe.
It's tall, yellow and the talk of the town in this corner of southeast London. Although it looks like a real speed camera, it's not. But quick as a flash, the council came along to take it down. For a residential street, Sandhurst Road is incredibly busy. It's currently used by 5 bus routes and thousands of vehicles every day. And residents here said the fake camera made a huge difference to their quality of life.
We were thrilled when the fake speed camera appeared, and it's since been nicknamed Speedy, which we thought was kind of adorable. We saw a massive reduction in speeding as they approached it and went past it. And even if people realised it was fake, no one, I think, wanted to chance it just in case. So we did see it made a massive difference.
I do worry about my safety in the street, especially in the night time.
Ed's profoundly deaf and says others also benefited from having the fake camera.
I would not only does the camera have a big impact on me, but I feel like it has an impact on everyone else. But not just disabled people, but people with wheelchair, people who have children, all kinds of people.
Who do you think's behind this?
There's been a lot of speculation around who was responsible for the speed camera. Presumably it's a local resident, and I have to say well done to them, because you've had more impact on our street with reducing speeding than we've managed to achieve with the council in almost half a decade.
Lewisham Council told us we strongly discourage people from putting up fake signs or cameras. Residents who do this run the risk of legal action if these lead to an accident. The council is not responsible for installing speed cameras or speed enforcement, but we have made TfL aware of residents' concerns.
We were very, very pleased to have Speedy, so whoever put Speedy out, if you're listening, we'd love to see another Speedy.
There are then signs this may not be the end of the road. Harry Lowe, BBC London.
Foreign students coming to London to study is worth billions of pounds. We have around 200,000 of them, which is why there's some nervousness ahead of Wednesday's budget of the possibility that the Chancellor will outline details of a potential levy on international student fees. Well, it's feared it could impact universities, businesses, as well as students themselves. Here's our Work and Money correspondent, Megan Owen.
The contemporary dance course at Trinity Laban attracts young talent from all over the world. 1 in 4 students here are international, but their university is facing a proposed 6% levy on their fees. Like Manu from Belgium. It was her dream to study in London, but after 3 years, these proposals would mean she wouldn't be able to finish her degree.
I would probably have to go back home.
Really?
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel?
Well, it would make me feel sad. As international students, we don't get student finance, so it needs to come out of our parents' pockets, and they need to work. Like my mum is working, I think, 2 or 3 jobs at the minute, and then my dad is doing 2.
London educates 200,000 international students who contribute £12.5 billion every year to the capital's economy. This proposed levy would cost its universities up to an estimated £220 million a year.
You put at risk the international multicultural environment that we have here. That's such a unique selling point it makes for such a strong student experience. And for London and its businesses, what they need is international talent and the skills that those students bring.
The Department for Education says it's taken tough decisions to put universities on a firmer financial footing. The Treasury won't speculate ahead of next week's budget, but the Chancellor is expected to flesh out her plans for how a levy might be applied.
The Chancellor would say she's got a huge fiscal hole to fill, she's got to make difficult choices.
Well, what I would say to that is there's 2 ways to balance a budget. You either make cuts or you get more income. There was a research done last year by London Economics that said that international students to the UK bring a net benefit of £25 billion. Well, if you double the number of international students, there's another £25 billion for your budget, Chancellor.
Megan Owen, BBC London.
Well, now a moment to take a look at some more local stories in the headlines today. 2 teenagers accused of being involved in hacking Transport for London's computers have pleaded not guilty to computer hacking charges. 19-year-old Talha Jubair from East London and 18-year-old Owen Flowers from the West Midlands spoke only to confirm their names and entered pleas at Southwark Crown Court. Part of the A3 in Surrey will be closed overnight this weekend to allow major roadworks to continue. The closures will affect the A3 in both directions between Wisley and Send. There's been a major disruption at Euston Station this afternoon, with train company Avanti West Coast advising passengers not to travel. Services have been suspended due to a major fault with a signalling system. Tickets for today will be accepted tomorrow. Now, there are calls for vulnerable victims of crime to be given more support to prepare them for what can be a daunting experience of giving evidence in court. London's Victims Commissioner Claire Waxman says too many victims are dropping out of the justice system due to long delays and fears over being cross-examined. Our Home Affairs correspondent Sonia Jessup is here to explain more. Sonia.
Thanks, Assad. Yes, Claire Waxman says every month around 140 victims are dropping out after charges are brought in their cases. She points to the record backlog of 18,000 cases waiting to come to London's Crown Courts and says some people are waiting up to 7 years to get there after reporting a crime, with cases often moved at the last minute.
Victims have geared themselves up to go into court and give evidence, and then when it's moved, it has a profound impact on them, and they're having to wait and put their lives on hold. So it's really important they're given the right information, updates and support, and are prepared for going into court. The courtroom and giving evidence and being cross-examined is an incredibly daunting experience and a traumatising experience, and I just don't think we give the right type of support.
I spoke to one woman who had waited 5 years between reporting to police that she'd been raped and her case coming to trial. The defendants were found not guilty.
To keep on repeating your experience in different ways to different people, to dredge up arguably the most traumatic events of your life in public to strangers again and again across 5 years is extremely traumatising. So yeah, I nearly dropped out many times.
So to try to prepare victims, Claire Waxman has made a number of recommendations, including virtual reality tours of courtrooms like this and role-play sessions where a witness could experience what it's like to be cross-examined. Now, important to note, they would not be allowed to discuss their actual evidence for legal reasons, but they could answer questions on a neutral subject instead, like what they had for breakfast. Here's Violet again to explain.
What did you eat for breakfast this morning? Do you remember, was it 7 a.m. or 8 a.m? Oh, isn't it interesting that you don't seem to be able to place the time that your breakfast was at? Do you remember the colour of the bowl? You know, these kinds of questions, they sound stupid, perhaps, but they are essential in helping someone prepare for what might be an extremely traumatic and overwhelming moment.
Now, of course, such reforms would need funding. Also, it would require lots of different agencies to work together. And Claire Waxman acknowledges this. She says it is a very difficult climate. She argues if you don't support victims and they drop out, offenders are not brought to justice, and that means the public are at risk. Assad.
Yeah, an interesting subject, that one. Thanks very much for that, Sonia. Now, you're watching BBC London, still to come before 7. It's a Christmas tradition that's been going since the 1940s. The Trafalgar Square tree is on its way, a gift from the people of Oslo. This weekend, there's a very big match in North London. Arsenal, sitting at the top of the Premier League at the moment, are looking for their first title in over 20 years, while arch-rivals Tottenham, well, they'd love to scupper that. They're in 5th place at the moment. But when it comes to these two playing each other, the form book goes right out the window. Here's our sports reporter, Chris Legg.
The independent Arsenal Supporters Club has offered a place for fans to gather pre- and post-match since 1949. And 87-year-old Peggy has been volunteering here since the 60s.
People have traditions, they have superstitions, and a lot of it revolves around our clubhouse. We might close and all of a sudden somebody's banging on the window. Peg, you can't close, you can't close. We've got to have our sandwich to take to the game, otherwise we're not going to win.
For many, the Supporters Club is a match day necessity, and it couldn't run without Peggy.
I've known Peggy for years.
I probably see Peggy more than I see most of my family. It's a consistent in your life. Like, it's almost like how easy it is to get up in the morning and have breakfast. Every time you come down to the Arsenal, you come here. It's special. It's really special.
And it's an extra special day here on Sunday, of course, because it's North London Derby Day. Premier League leaders Arsenal welcome Tottenham here, looking to get their title challenge back on track after dropping points last time out. Both managers are in no doubt about the significance of the derby.
It's just beautiful, especially when we play at home. In front of our people, we know what it means to them and the energy that they're going to bring, the energy that the team is going to bring in every single action, and it's just a privilege to play those kind of games, so we cannot wait to get to Sunday.
Super excited. Of course, before I stepped into the club, of course I knew about the North London Derby, but it's when you are in it, you sense it and feel that this is important. You feel it from the fans, you feel it from the staff members, the players, the people that's been working here for years. This is the big one.
Spurs fans celebrated their first trophy for 17 years in May. It's almost that long since they saw their team win at Arsenal in the league.
Every fan always, you always come with a little bit of hope, but it's a daunting task. I have to go back to Harry Redknapp in the Premier League, I think almost 15 years ago now, when we won 3-2 there. But stranger things have happened in football, and, if Thomas Frank wants to announce himself as Tottenham manager, this could be the perfect game to do it.
Win, lose or draw on Sunday, a football club is for life. Chris Slegg, BBC London.
Yeah, it'll be a great match. Now, the famous Christmas tree at Trafalgar Square, of course, is an annual gift from Norway to say thank you to Britain for their support in World War II. But before you check your calendar, no, this hasn't arrived early. This is actually last year's Christmas tree, but the new one has been chosen. Thomas McGill is in the square for us this evening. Can tell us more about it. Thomas.
Yes, good evening, Assad. There's lots of festive cheer here at the Christmas market in Trafalgar Square tonight, but what's missing, of course, as you said, there is a Christmas tree, and that's because the one that will take centre stage here was chosen and felled at a very special service in Norway, attended by the Mayor of Oslo and the Lord Mayor of Westminster, who was there to see proceedings. Now, it didn't all entirely go to plan. Before the tree was chopped down, a protester from Extinction Rebellion climbed to the top of the tree and delayed things for a short time. But it did happen. The tree is now on its way here to London via road and boat, and it will take centre stage here very, very shortly. So why do the Norwegians gift us, the people of London, a tree? Well, it's a tradition that dates back to the 1940s, and in fact this tree will be the 78th to be donated to London as a sign of gratitude, a sign of thanks really, because during World War II the King of Norway took refuge here in the city after his country was invaded. And we know that this year's tree, like the ones before, will be a Norwegian Bruce, and a very tall one at that. It will stand 20 metres in height, and for anyone wanting to have a look at that tree, they can come down for the official lighting of its lights on Thursday, the 4th of December.
Lovely, Thomas. Thanks very much for that reminder. Always a good time. You know Christmas is on its way when the tree starts to arrive in Trafalgar Square. Well, it certainly felt Christmassy this week as the temperatures dropped. Let's see if it's going to stay that way. Weather now with Jen.
Thank you, Assad. The temperatures are going to be going up a little bit as we head over the course of the weekend. But you're right, it has been really chilly. Looks very cold out there at Trafalgar Square at the moment. But today it has been the perfect kind of cold weather. We've had those blue skies across the board. And even when the sun went down, those lovely pictures sent in by our weather watchers. Now, over the course of the weekend, we are expecting the weather to change a little bit. So it's going to be a little bit less cold than it has been. Cloudy with some outbreaks of rain at times. And we can see what's happening if we take a look at the pressure chart. As we head into Saturday, we've got this weather front moving through, bringing some outbreaks of rain. Hot on its heels, another frontal system moving in for Sunday. Now, for the here and now, for this evening, we've actually got clear skies, so the temperatures will fall away really quite quickly. An early frost overnight, but as the night goes on, the cloud will start to roll in, and temperatures at around 5 in the morning, we're looking at around 4 or 5 degrees, so a much milder start to Saturday morning. Initially, we'll start off tomorrow with some cloud. There'll be some rain moving in as we head through the middle part of the day. Some of that rain is going to be quite heavy later on, and the temperatures through tomorrow afternoon a bit milder than today, 8 or 9 degrees Celsius, more of a southwesterly breeze. So it's not going to be feeling as cold, but with the cloud and the rain, not feeling too great either. That all clears away as we head through Saturday night. We'll have a few clear spells, but quite a bit of cloud. There will be some mist and fog as well. And those temperatures overnight Saturday into Sunday, 4 or 5 degrees. So again, it's not a very, very cold start to Sunday. We'll have a bit of brightness first thing, not for long though. This is what happens mid-morning, some heavy rain moving through, but by Sunday afternoon, behind it, we've got some brighter weather coming through. So a better end to the day on Sunday. Those temperatures, 9 or 10 degrees, feeling very different to how it's been over the last couple of days. Then into the start of next week, this low pressure moves away. We start to pull in more of a northerly wind, so it gets briefly colder once again. But by the end of next week, it's getting very mild once again. Assad.
Thanks very much, Jen. Feeling, milder, but mixed weekend ahead. Thanks very much for that. Well, time now for a recap of some of the main news in the headlines today. The former leader of the Reform UK in Wales has been sentenced to 10.5 years in jail for taking bribes. Nathan Gill, a former MEP, made pro-Russia statements at the European Parliament in return for cash. And the government is expected to approve China's plans for a huge new embassy near the Tower of London. A final decision hasn't yet been formally made, but it's understood the intelligence agencies have been given ministers' advice that clears the path for the controversial project. Well, that's it for now. I'm back at 10:30 with our late news tonight on BBC One. Before then, why not have a peek at the BBC London website? You'll find serious stories on there, as well as a street turned yellow, a video of when the Prince and Princess of Wales met Paddington Bear, and people being caught out by a fake Christmas market at Buckingham Palace. They did seem to take it quite well, but you can watch the video on the BBC London website, bbc.co.uk/London. For now, from us all, do have a very good evening. Bye-bye.